Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to our webinar tonight. So we really wanted to just help you navigate the holidays. Hopefully that you pick up a couple of helpful tips, tricks, just some things through life experience, as well as having just a bunch of other people's experience, really just in helping you navigate. Because at this time, if you're like me and all of the other people I experience, there is quite a bit of stress around this time of year. I think that we could all agree. So here tonight, really want to just find out from you guys what's a word that describes how you feel about navigating through the holidays. So in thinking through that, when you're thinking about those emotions and like what do I do? I really don't want to be restrictive, but I also don't want to overindulge. Maybe you've been working on your progress, like you've been in our Flex 8 Weeks challenge, or you've been doing a shred or something like that, and you really don't want to lose that progress, and you don't want to be amongst the group that just always keeps getting started on January 1st. So if that is you and that's how you're feeling, I hope in this call, in this webinar, that we're really going to help you not just survive, but thrive through the holiday season with just a better mindset and understanding what actually moves that needle forward and backwards. Really get a handle on that. What are some challenges that we face? What are some practical hacks, some things that really make sense, not just like falling into the hype? How to stay active and what the best thing is to offset. Can you outwork your bad habits, your bad eating habits? Can you outrun that fork? What are some best practices when it comes to staying active so that you can feel your best? And then building confidence with that balance. That's the big thing, guys. You want to just feel good. You think about like the different holiday parties and things like that. You're dressing up, you want to feel your best. So, really, in doing that, we want to help you just not be so bloated, not feel so bad. So, just some different things like that, as well as how do you stay on track? So, if you're like me, I'm really trying to navigate the holidays by staying on track. I fully feel that a couple of days are not going to set me back here. So, what are some common holiday struggles? Obviously, getting some feedback here. Overeating, that's one big thing. A lot of times we overeat, and I want you guys to really hear this. We overeat often because we're just not aware. We graze, we pick at things, we have food all around our houses or at the events. It's everywhere. And we just fail to realize that a nibble of this, a nibble of that really adds up. And at the end of the day, you're so super full and you feel bloated. And then you realize I probably ate 2,000 calories worth of snacking foods and I got about 20 grams of protein. Well, that's going to be overeating the wrong things, and that's going to not leave you feeling so good, but then you're also not going to be as satiated. So, really understanding that, we'll talk a little bit more about that. So, overeating can often lead to the problems of feeling bloated, feeling nasty, or even more cravings. So, we want to keep from doing that. Food guilt. This is I always love the posts that are like, here's how to cut your calories at the holidays, or here's how to make swaps. I mean, it really just depends on how many parties and stuff that you have. But when you really look at the holiday, it's only a couple of days. So the best way to not have food guilt is really just try to get a hold of your schedule. What do the holidays look like? Map out your schedule. For me, I'm looking at my calendar. I can see all the different parties and events I have. I think about, what is the food like? What is the drinking situation or not? And then I just look at the days, like how many days am I willing to just go and eat, intuitively eat. And then I don't feel guilty about it, because I've looked ahead, I looked at the calendar. And so at the end of the day, that's really what it takes to not feel guilty. I don't think enough people talk about that. And we really need to educate on, hey, if you're aware and you know that you're still following an 80-20% lifestyle, you're getting that protein in, you're doing what you need to do, it's not that many parties. But if you don't look at it that way and you just wait to feel all the feelings after you've eaten the pecan pie and all of the different things that you're eating, all the fudge, and you just don't think about it, think through it, or you're not aware, then yeah, you're going to have a lot of food guilt. But that's completely avoidable by you just harboring an awareness around what you're doing and a little bit of being proactive and weighing out what all you have and then making some choices. And when you know you do that, then you just live freely. You keep moving on. All or nothing. Guys, I'm going to talk about this a couple of times on the different slides. All or nothing is probably the biggest fail that I see going through the holidays, that if you can't get it all right, you might as well just throw in the towel and go all in on whatever it is that you want to eat, okay? Or not exercising. And I had a client talk like this today. that because she couldn't get in the gym 3 days, then that led to her not wanting to walk, which led to her not wanting to track her food. Well, that's a domino effect. All because, I mean, what if you could get in one day? What if you could go walk for 10 minutes if you can't go walk for 45? Doing what you can do and not having that all or nothing mentality is super beneficial to you being not as stressed around the holidays and food and all of the things, but also you're going to make progress because you're going to keep seeing each day in the present moment and get 1% better every day. The lack of time for activity, I'm going to go back to that first one about like overeating at events or food guilt, that second one, and talk about lack of time for activity is your lack of planning. So a little bit of tough love. Guys, if you are one to live in the chaos, if you love to live in that chaos, then I'm going to tell you, wait until the morning of to decide when you're going to get your physical activity in. It's just not going to ever happen. Life's never going to loosen up for you to pack it all in. So it's best that you list 3 important things that you have to get done probably the night before. But once you realize those 3 important things, then decide out of those important things, where do you have time for activity? That should be a no-brainer. But if you look at your schedule, you're not as overwhelmed because you're going to put those things in. The reason I told you to do 3 important things that can help you navigate your time for activity is because if you can get that out of your mind, if you can think about that first thing in the morning, you can get those hard things out of the way. Then when it comes time for you to go on a walk or go exercise, you're not going to let something creep in that's not one of your most important things for that day. I typically find success in getting a lot of time for activity that way. The other thing is find a way to be active in your inactivity. Okay. So if it's you're always in the car or going to family events, find a way to be active with your family. It might be that as soon as you get over to your sister's house, you go in and say, hey, let's go for a walk real quick. It might be that you go some or that you're having coffee with a friend that from home that you haven't seen in a while. And you say, hey, instead of coffee, you want to just go walk in the park with me real quick? It's that kind of trade. The other thing is you got to quit excusing the weather. I heard a saying the other day from somebody up north. They said the weather is no different in any place in the world. It's just your clothing sucks down there. So it's really and just find the right clothing, get through the excuses, break through, find a way because that activity is what is going to help you be successful on all of the things that we just mentioned. And then the number one thing that activity helps with, it's not staying on track, it's your mental health because the next common holiday struggle that I see, and this should have been number one, but I decided to put it big and bold because this is the number one thing I see, is that we live in this perpetual state of stress and pressure and anxiety and a state of overwhelm. And we stay there and we don't ever let our brains just be quiet and realize, what are we stressing about? Are we trying to control something that's outside of our control? Are we adding more chaos into a chaotic time? Are we trying to think of all of the things that we didn't get done this year and pack it into 2 weeks? What is it that your brain is saying? And at the end of it, when it comes to a stress, because it's usually like family or the different dynamics, and you're trying to scoot it all in and you're trying to make everybody's things and be everything to everyone. And that's usually where it comes from. But you have to get to the root of it and ask yourself at the end of the day, like, what's the worst that could happen? In your stressful moments, I want you to think through what's the worst that can happen. And I want you to think on that for a little bit. Okay. So I had somebody earlier to me say, she gets really, really stressed when it's like chaotic, like car situations where you're really packed in, and it's like traffic and things, and it can send her into a frenzy. And it really gets her worked up to where her heart starts racing. And we worked through some things where it was like, well, what's the worst that can happen if your heart starts racing? Like, how many people do you know that died of an exploded heart? Because your heart just can't keep up, or that's the problem, is because you got into a panic and then your heart beat too fast and then you died. It's like if you'll get to the end of where you have a stressor, you're going to see that there's a fear. If you can work through that fear, you're going to work through a lot of this unnecessary anxiety and stress around this time of year. And then my biggest point that I can make, and this is probably the biggest tip that I can give you around stress, mindset, and struggling, some of those psychological things that come in, because those impact our body more than anything else. But another thing that you can think about is pick your battles, guys. This is not a time to get in and lay out all of your life things with your family or everybody else that's going on. It's not the time to make really big changes. There's so many going on right now that it's just not the time to do all of those things. So do your best to be in the moment, be present, and remember that this holiday is about being around your family and finding the gratitude in everything you do and really getting into the spirit of it. It shouldn't be centered around food anyway. Okay. So going into the ditching the all or nothing. So focusing on progress, not perfection. I told you I'm going to say this several times in the slide because it is, you've got to say that out loud. You've got to say that to yourself. So balancing the meals. Okay. So eating joyful foods with love without that you love without overindulging. Okay, so here's the tip with that. Pick the foods that you love. So for me, I don't love Thanksgiving. There was nothing about the turkey that really lit me up or the dressing and things like that. But I did want to taste a little bit of the home cooking, like the Southern home cooking I grew up on. I just wanted a little taste. So I had a little bit of macaroni and cheese. I had a little bit of the dressing and the gravy. I didn't do the biscuit and that it wasn't homemade. It was out of a package and that didn't strike me. I'm not going to waste my hunger or something on that's an empty carb. That's a processed carb that came out of a bag. Nobody homemade it. It's not going to help my gut and it's not satisfying my taste buds. So I'm not overindulging on those carbohydrates. I just gave you a great example. I'm not overindulging there. However, when they bring out that peanut butter pie, I'm going to keep myself from overindulging, but I'm going to have room for that because I didn't choose to have mindless eating. I didn't mindlessly eat the roll and all of the macaroni and cheese and all of the sweet potato casserole and all of the things because I knew what's most important for me as far as food around Thanksgiving is that dessert. So I know I'm going to eat my protein. I'm going to savor like the carbs and the fats because I want this. So some of not overindulging is also just be mindful and make choices. You don't have to have all the things all the time. And then pay attention to hunger and fullness cues. Hunger is not the same thing as craving. Hunger, your stomach's growling, it's rumbling, it's mixing all the things. And then you have hunger or craving where see chocolate, eat chocolate. Okay, that's a craving like, oh, I see it, I want it. So, again, paying attention to that. The other thing that you can do there while I say this, and I didn't even think of this, but don't put it in your house. One thing for me, I have a big tub of Chex Mix that I made for different parties. And I made it with all real ingredients, but it's sitting out there on the counter. I covered it with tinfoil. The next day, I put a rubber band around it. The next day, I went ahead and put it into tins and divvied it out because I kept touching it. It wasn't much, but it was a little bit. Had I just gone ahead and put it in the decorative tins, it would have been out of my way. I wouldn't have even made that choice. I didn't want it. I was craving it because it was sitting on my counter. I'd already made it. I already made sure I did a taste test and all that. So all of those excuses out the door, and I didn't really want it. So that's really the big things is mindful eating and then paying attention to is it hunger, is it craving? If it's hunger, then you really have to ask yourself, am I eating like an adult or am I eating like a child? Okay, so if it's hunger, let's eat like an adult. Okay, you're not going to go and grab the gushers out of the pantry and eat the gushers and say, well, I was starving. I hear so many people, that's how you get off the rails, is it was like there was nothing else. All that was there was the fudge, or all that was there was this. And you think that that helps your hunger, but in fact, it gives you a little spike in insulin to raise your energy a little bit and then a double crash down. Okay, so that's not helping you without protein. You get hungry, you need protein. Make sure that that's a full meal. Okay. And then prep balance. So nutritional convenience is the key to your success no matter what time you're navigating. Okay. Being prepared helps. Prep some balanced snacks. So I like to prep food and take it to events because those are the things that I eat. I'm going to give you some examples at the end of this presentation that you can screenshot and take along. So that's kind of like the, hey, wait, we've got some cool little recipes and ideas for you. But I like to take those to events. The other thing is I do like to drink a shake before I go. I always drink one of my high quality meal replacement shakes before I go. I highly suggest you at least doing a little bit of protein before you go because you might not know what is being cooked. You might not know what the food is there and you might want to nibble a little bit. You'll do yourself and your body a whole lot more favors if you have protein on your gut versus waiting and just doing the carbs and the fat. And then hydration matters more than so many things. So I say this to clients all the time. It's like set up your water bottle, different things like that, whatever it might be. But I'm going to tell you, when you're eating more like a butthole than normal times, than other times in life, then the water becomes so much more important. Almost always saying when you're eating carbs, more carbs than you're used to, how to help your gut not have so much bloating or distress. Get the water and help your body flush through that, okay? And help it all go to the right places. You're also going to help all the vitamins and minerals get absorbed in your body better. So please make sure that you are drinking enough water. So I just went through these. I think this is just kind of like a double the pre-event snacks. I say pre-event, but also in your everyday, like today's only the 19th. You have many days to go all the way through the New Year's. I'm telling you, I have pulled chicken in my refrigerator. I have shrimp, I have cod, I have asparagus, I have broccoli, I have my oils, I have my sauces, I have a couple of avocados, I have sweet potatoes and rice, all ready to just throw into something and make a meal. You've got to have some things in your refrigerator, especially your protein sources. It does not take much to go to the grocery store, pick out 2 or 3 proteins, come home, spend 20 minutes to prep all of that, throw it into a canister, and put it in the refrigerator. And then it's just there for you to grab, even if you look ridiculous grabbing a turkey burger and eating a turkey burger with nothing else. That's okay. Sometimes it comes to that. Okay. Um, Indulgent meals, I just talked about this. This means balancing indulgent meals with nutrient dense meals. Let me tell you what that means, what I just said. If you don't know what you're about to go eat, if you're going like you're going to somewhere that just has like finger foods, that's usually going to be more of the fats and the carbohydrates. Drink the protein shake before you go. Have a nutrient dense or a whole meal replacement that's only 240 calories, but gives you a great serving of protein, carbs, fats before you go to that meal. That way you're nice and full. You're not going to eat more of the crappy stuff that might not make you feel as good. You're not going to eat more of that just because you're hungry. You're going to eat more of that just because you're tasting it and you're satisfying those taste buds. There's a big difference in doing those two things. Oh, and these are just like bring a veggie tray or protein-based dish. I'm going to give you some examples here in a minute, okay? Movement simple. I'm going to go fast through this. Guys, movement is so important. That does not mean kick your butt doing high intense cardio. That does not mean, try to get in a run. That does not mean that you have to get in the best workout in the gym when you're lifting weights. That means do what you can do. If you can walk right after your meal, especially the one that might not make you feel as good, if you can go take a post-meal walk instead of getting on the couch and getting comfy, you are going to do yourself so many favors. I promise you, you'll come back here. You'll thank me so much for telling you that. 10-minute home workouts, guys. You can Google this, YouTube. Very easy to get something do at home body weight workout. Do some squats, some jumping jack, things like that. Just move your body. No excuses for that. Playing games with family. My family, when we go, we love like those Wii games, believe it or not. It's like, but you're standing up, you're Wii bowling, you're doing different things like that. We always like going for walks. That's like the morning crew of the family, whatever. Find ways to get active and get your body moving. And if you can do it throughout the day, again, you're not going to lose progress. I'm going to say this again, consistency over perfection, moving at least 10 minutes a day, 45-minute walks, 45 minutes a day or 8 to 10,000 steps is what you want average. If you're just doing what you can do because you don't have that much time, think about consistency and not perfection and make sure you go for that. Prioritizing what matters. Guys, I say this, but let this resonate with you. Prioritizing what matters will help you not stress as much or will help you navigate going through the holidays. So focusing on quality time over food. Remember that the holidays are not about the food. We do so much posting and we do so much talking about emotional eating and all this thing. And it shouldn't even be about that. Yes, we bake with our kids or we do things like that and there's food around. But all of these holidays are really meant to be quality time, whether it's quality time off, resting and recovering, quality time with family. But I can guarantee you that if you fill your holiday with sugar and mess, You will be sick. Your immune system will be suppressed. You will not be able to enjoy as much as if you make some tough choices and prioritize things that are healthy, especially in just prioritizing de-stressing and quality time over focusing on those foods. You will stay more healthy. Staying consistent with small habits. Just because you can't get in to do your workout on Wednesday, Christmas Day, because your schedule is packed or whatever, doesn't mean that you shouldn't go on Tuesday or Thursday, even though you don't normally go on Tuesday and Thursday. Practice your small habits. The things that you do every week, don't excuse the holidays as one lump sum of time that you cannot continue with drinking your water, getting some morning sun, taking some steps, making sure you get enough protein. Those are things that you want to be consistent with. And then give yourself grace. Guys, at the end of the day, you can do what you can do. And if you continue the all or nothing and you continue to try to be perfect throughout times like these that are a little bit more chaotic, you will end up feeding that disappointment in yourself. And feeding that doesn't do us any good. So you really do. You have to start with recognizing that you're not going to be perfect and that this is the first year of many, or for you, it might be the second year of many or the third or whatever, but it's one step in making different habits and it's going to look a little bit different than you've ever looked. It's going to look a little bit different than you look to your family. And just know it's one little baby step at a time. Give yourself grace, allow yourself to mess up, and then give yourself some tough love. Allow yourself to be disciplined. Okay. And hear me say that. Allow yourself to be disciplined. Your family or people around you might make fun of that. They might make that seem weird. I'm going to tell you, if you're making a choice to have water instead of alcohol, or if you're making a choice to pass on the dessert because it's not your favorite and do whatever, don't feel like that puts you into a box. That doesn't put you into a box or a category. You're doing what you can do. So give yourself grace to just be exactly who you are and where you are and continue to work to get better. I've already said the other two things, so I'm going to move on. So this is the end. I really want to pose these questions to be open-ended, and I want you to think through this. If you want to tell me your answer, you certainly can. But what's one tip you're excited to try? I like for you to think through that, even if you're watching the replay, and that I want you to think through some things that I said and things that you might not have been doing before that you could implement, and it would make you feel better at the end of the day. And so in trying that, and then the mindset shift, I really feel like that's the biggest shift you can make, is changing your mind that this is not going to be the same and that you're not going to continue to have the same thoughts or the same actions as years past. If in years past you're not happy with your result, okay? You're happy, great. Keep rowing in the same direction. If you're not happy with where you are right now based off of things you've done in the past, or you're not happy with, you're not where you want to be, then things are going to look a little bit different. So you're going to have to control your mind a little bit different. And know that it really starts and ends with mindset. If you could make one change to your current holiday routine, what would it be? Guys, for me, I'm going to just give you an example. Mine's constantly trying to fit myself into every bit of my family, extended family's box and their needs and wants of me. Instead, I got a hold of my schedule. I made sure to get every time and everything down. I'm also not going to go in and do the thing with food all the time, where I'm just like, yeah, nibble at this to make them feel good or do that. There are some things that are going to look different and that I have different goals this holiday. I don't normally at Christmas time usually transition. I'm at a different time. I'm choosing that. And so something I'm going to do is just be dead set on what's my vision going into the next couple of months. And is there anything that I'm going to do in these couple of days that could set me back? Most of the time it's no. Most of the time there's many days that you can allow to continue to stay on target. But the biggest thing I know is my different mindset is that I know where I'm going January, February, March, April, May. I know where I'm headed with my body. I know what my goal is, and I know that I'm going to be on track. And this is just a part of that. It's not any different, and I'm not going to make any kind of big, monumentous change. Okay, so here's the fun part. This part Courtney did for us. So these are some great recipes. Actually, the recipe is mine from a long time ago. That's even my plate and my dish there. But she did this, and we've I think the whole group, I think everybody's made this recipe now because it is so good. It's more of that Thanksgiving feel because it's like a harvest. However, if you're really looking for something to take to a holiday party, I mean, this will set it apart. I love that one. So you're looking at like the squash, different things like that. But as you see, if you want to take veggies or a good carbohydrate or something that has a little sweet, a little savory, then this is something that you can take with you and you can enjoy whatever you want out of it. Here's some other things that I put together, and I really just want to like, here's some side dishes, here's some healthy dishes, and then some desserts. Now, if I went through my phone, I could add a million things. I'm just going to say I'll be posting them on social media for the next however long as they come up in my memories. Things that I've done just over the years. I just have fun with it. It's fun to try different recipes. I will say if you're going online and you want something like you don't know how to search for it, the best way to search for things that are more protein driven or just healthier is to search macro friendly, healthy holiday recipes. Macro friendly, healthy holiday recipes. Go search that. A lot of these things will come up. You'll see and you can see, okay, that looks good. Look at the picture, see if that's something that's practical for that party. But it's also stuff you can gift if you want to get away from like doing all the crap or making all the crap in your kitchen. I love making the crap in my kitchen and I'm going to stick to it, but I like to dish it out as soon as I get it. But with that said, hopefully this gives you some ideas, some things to roll with. And other than that, just let us know if you have any questions. In Flex, we will be having a huge challenge with our team starting in January. We are ready to gear up. It's going to start in the second week of January. We're going to have a really big challenge, one that I think is going to be probably the biggest challenge. So I don't know how many we'll have on board, but I know that we're here to help keep you accountable and really just bring the best of the new year. So we're all together, we're all crazy together, but we're really set up to hit our targets. So look out for those announcements coming from our team, and we look forward to crushing it through these holidays with you. Good night, you guys. Thanks for joining.